And we're just getting started. We have a lot more of that film we hope to show you, about 10 minutes of it. We're very proud of it and the entire celebration we have planned for tonight. A lot to talk about when there comes to Team Penske and all the success they've had over the years. So it'll be a special night, and hopefully these questions answer a lot of what you guys have come here to find out today. So let me introduce everyone. The captain, the founder and chairman of Penske Corporation, Roger Penske. The executive vice president of Penske Corporation, the vice chairman of Team Penske, Walt Zarnicki. Team Penske president, Tim Cindric. Driver of the number 2 Miller Lite Ford, Brad Keselowski. Winner of 37 races for Team Penske, Rusty Wallace, here to help us celebrate. Driver of the number 22 Shell Pennzoil Sprint Cup car, Joey Logano. 4-time Indy 500 champ, Rick Mears. And driver of the number 22 Discount Tire Xfinity car, Ryan Blaney. Roger, we'll start with you. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
424 wins, some of the things they reeled off there, 487 poles, 28 national championships. Something I've always wondered, though, how do you continue to strive for more and push all your teams to do the same?
Well, I think once you're in this business, it's so hard to get out. And when you're dealing with the people that we've been able to bring on our team for so many years, the quality and the people committing themselves personally and their families to our team, and the sponsors and the OEMs, to me, it's my day job on the weekends, and I will be at the races as long as I can stand up, and we're there for one reason, that's to win. And when you look across the group of guys on my right here, you can see the quality and what they've given to our team, and obviously we're looking for 2016 to be a great year with a continuity across all aspects of our team.
Well, you mentioned that continuity, very little turnover when it comes to the 2 and the 22 teams. How do you accomplish that? How well does it position you for 2016?
Well, I learned, I think, in business, many years ago, you don't want to have turnover. Some turnover might be good, but I think on the race team, it's continuity. And I've said it before with, Paul Wolf and Brad coming up through the Xfinity Series, and certainly Todd and Joey. And being able to bring these guys along has made a huge difference. And with that process, we've built teams around these great drivers and crew chiefs, and that's key. As we go into 2016, most of the people that we have are ones, I would call them homegrown, ones that have been over the wall with us, have gone through adversity, have had some success. But again, they have one thing in common. They're working together as one outfit. And I think that I take my hat off to Tim Cindric. In this business, you can have 2 or 3 teams or 4 teams, and they're all separate teams. And what we've tried to do is we build our cars. They're all the same. The only time you know whose car it is when it comes through the shop, when they put the decals on it, whether it's, Joey's car or Brad's car. And I think that's made a difference. And it's like a 7-iron. Everybody holds it a little bit differently. So the setup they put on might be a little bit different. But at the end of the day, it's the results. And then we can look and see, why someone fast and see the differences. And I think that take my hat off to Paul and certainly Todd for what they've been able to do working together. You've seen the speed we've had in 2015 and certainly in 14, and I think we're just going to carry on where we left off at the end of the season.
With you almost the entire way is the man to your right. Walt, when you think back on all the 50 years and the achievements that we saw there, what stands out to you the most?
Well, thank you, Dave. It's first of all, it's gone by very quickly. But in retrospect, 4 or 5 things really stand out. First, that Roger asked me in 1970 to become part of the company when it was just a fledgling enterprise. So without that, none of the rest occurs. I think as I reflect back over these 50 years, though, but first knowing and working with Mark Donohue, absolutely the best and set the standard. And then, of course, winning our first Indy 500 in 1972, and then Ryan winning the Daytona 500 first time in 2008 for us, Brad's 2012 championship. But then I think about Rick Mears and the pass he made on Michael Andretti for his 4th and final Indy 500 win late in the race, and Rick can talk about that. That stands out in my mind. I mean, absolutely gutsy move, but won the race. Rusty winning 10 races in 1993, and 8 more the following year. Watching Elio Castroneves climb the fence, I mean, the stories go on and on and on. Bobby Allison winning the Southern 500 was important to us at the time in the Coca-Cola Matador. So we could stand here, stay here and talk a lot. So I'll stop at that. So it's been a great time, a great career.
Roger talked about continuity within the teams. You guys also have that with sponsorships. If you could talk about some of the relationships that are important, that are renewed, and some of the programs you're excited about launching in 2016.
Well, I think one of the hallmarks of our team over the years, of course, has been that continuity of sponsorship. I mean, companies like the Miller Brewing Companies have been with us since 1983, 84, Snap-on Tool, other companies like that, the PPG, for example. But over the course of the time, we've expanded that context of sponsors, and we're at a point now where we're happy to announce here that we've extended our relationship with Bosch. Bosch has been with us for more than 30 years on a multi-year basis across all of our motorsports disciplines. Coca-Cola will be coming back, featured on the 22 Ford Fusion, Shell Ford Fusion. Joey's part of the Coke family of drivers. Auto Trader, important partner of ours in our retail automobile business, but will be with us on the 2 and the 22 cars this year. So that continues. But I think we bring a leverage with those sponsors because we're able to give back more than the value on the racetrack. We're able to establish business-to-business relationships with them, so they get a real tangible value, from our partnership.
And Tim, in Penske tradition, you've been very hands-on with the 50th anniversary, with the celebration we have planned all the way down to the logo here that's behind you. If you could talk about its design, how it honors the occasion, but the past as well.
Yeah, without a doubt, it's an honor to be part of designing the logo for this organization. You know, he's our main art director. RP is the art director. But when I came on board, as a kid, I idolized the team, and the old badge was, as I call it, was really the iconic symbol. And nobody back then really had chrome decals back in the 70s when that was there, and it evolved in its own way over time. But that's as I knew it. And when I started working for Roger, this would have been 99, 2000, 2001. There was obviously Marlboro Team Penske at the time, but there was also the Penske Racing logo when you didn't use the Marlboro words, if you will. And I constantly tried to talk to Roger about, hey, can we bring the old badge back? I want to wear the old badge one day. And at that point in time, the speedways that Penske owned had what we call the swoosh on the speedway, so it all tied into the race team. But at that point, the speedways were then going back to ISC, and I felt like it was time to get the badge back. And he says, about the third time I asked him, I got it. He said, look, we have one logo, and it's not that one now. And I said, okay, I got it. And we moved on. But when the 50th anniversary came, I felt like this is the time to try this again. It's been 10 years or so since I almost lost my job talking about this last time. Maybe we can do this again. And when you look at the logo, to me it was so iconic as a kid because you look at it and it defines, it's American, it's racing, and then it's Roger in terms of the spotless, shiny look. And, to bring that back and for all of us to be able to put that on our shirts and on our race cars and whatever else, it was really neat. And then obviously we brought the art director back in to put the fine touches on it, and you look at it now, and even the number 5 symbolizes, the font that we've used across, whether it was Rick or Danny or the other guys. So I'm, very proud to be part of this and have it displayed today.
Had no idea how much perseverance was involved in a logo. Part of that history is now 3 straight owners' championships at the Xfinity program. Now a new face atop the pit box. Talk about why it was so important to promote from within in naming Brian Wilson your new crew chief.
It really goes along the same things that Roger had mentioned. Growing from within, and Brian's somebody that no different than Todd and Paul and Jeremy and the guys that are sitting up here with me today. They've all really gone through the ranks, and Brian's been with us for 13 years, and he's paid his dues in the engineering department in a lot of ways. And he went up through the Xfinity Series with Paul, and he spent 5 years as a very successful Cup race engineer. And guys like that, if they don't have room to grow, they try and figure out where they can grow somewhere else. And he's certainly a guy that we needed to keep in-house and continue what we've done with those before him. So, certainly looking forward to that continuity and the fact that he's worked plenty with Brad before. And you'll see that we'll start off the Xfinity Series with quite a few races with Brad early on to establish that. But, Greg Irwin's going to be there, to continue to help him grow in that role. Obviously, Greg's had a lot of experience there, and he'll be a guy there that can help him from a leadership perspective, but also, as we run the 12 car in different ways and other things that we do internally, he gives us a lot of depth.
Brad, this will be your 7th full Sprint Cup season with Team Penske. And as we celebrate 50 years, apologies I keep saying we, but sometimes you feel like you're part of the team. Not many drivers, Brad, can say that they did something that no one before them at Penske and no one after them has accomplished. What does that mean to you as we celebrate these 50 years?
Yeah, well, thanks, Dave. I think first off, I wanted to say thank you guys for being here today and taking your time to come here and the Charlotte Motor Speedway and that group for putting on this event. It's always fun to get the season started in this way. And we're going to have a tremendous year getting it started. As you can tell already, we're going to have a party the first night out. But, I think for me, looking at Team Penske, 50 years, and I came in, I think, 6 years ago? This will be my 7th year. So I came in at year 43, year 44. There's not many firsts left. No. It's like being married 43 or 44 years. Not many firsts left. So, looking at that one.
Never thought of it that way.
Yeah. Looking at it that way, to win a Sprint Cup championship and for that to be a first was, something that I dreamed about. But I guess I never really thought that it would be that real of an opportunity. And as that came together with Roger and the team and Paul Wolf and everybody here at Penske, it's kind of a dream come true. It's kind of a signature mark that, I'll always hang my hat on. Of course, that doesn't mean I'm happy with just one championship. We have an incredible opportunity to, with the proper resources, the proper people that the team provides and that Mr. Penske provides, to go out and win many more races, many more championships. And we're committed to that today, and of course with an eye towards the past and respect towards it. But I think we've had that opportunity the last 2 or 3 years, came up a bit short, which is, of course, disappointing, but we're right there between the 2 and the 22 car. And if we're not beating down the door to get another championship, we're at least knocking very loudly. And we're going to continue to do so with the continuity that we have for many years to come.
Well, speaking of 2016, a few changes coming, new aero package, dashboard, some new tire combinations. If you could talk about the big challenges that lie ahead, but some of the opportunities that you see as well.
Yeah, I see a tremendous opportunity, but maybe I got a little bit of optimism in me. But the 2 races that we ran with the rules package, Darlington, South Carolina, and Kentucky Speedway, were 2 of the best races for Team Penske. But between the 2, we led the most laps with our 2 cars, and I think I sat on the pole. At least one of them had the cars to beat. So, and that's going to be a rule package for the whole season. I'm thrilled to death with that. I think it's going to put an increased level of importance on the driver to navigate cars that are just going to be harder to drive. So I'm looking forward to that challenge. I think it's going to be good for the sport, and very much embracing that opportunity.
Rusty, you were handpicked by the big guy to re-enter NASCAR in 1991. What does it mean to have really established, laid the groundwork for all the success that they're still seeing in NASCAR 25 years later?
Well, it was a very, very important day in my life when I got that phone call. There's no doubt about that. A great friend of mine, Don Miller, is the one that facilitated all that. I was just a young short track racer back in the Midwest, and I kept driving by St. Louis, Missouri, seeing all these Cam 2 trailers and stuff, and I kept saying, who is this guy? And that's Don Miller, worked for Roger Penske. Well, Don soon found out that I was doing a lot of winning in the Midwest, and I was always on Don's doorstep to introduce me to Roger. And Roger said, hey, let's give this kid a crack. And my first time was Atlanta, Georgia, and I finished second in 1980 there, and that was the start. But it was it's a neat feeling knowing that it started back in a long time ago, but I was part of it in 1980, able to drive for Roger, and then firing the team back up in 91. But he's been a great mentor of mine. He's taught me a lot about driving. He's taught me a lot about life, taught me a lot about finance, taught me a lot about a lot of things. and I consider him a great friend, but it means a lot to me. When I mention Roger's name, everybody perks up, and they pay attention, and that feels good.
Well, let's go back to that 1980. I don't know if everyone's aware that you made those 2 starts. Did you know then that this was a team you wanted to come back and drive for? If so, why?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, everybody in the world wanted to drive for Roger, and for me to be able to drive the car in 1980, to me, I thought that was my big break. I thought I made it. I was done. I was there finally. It happened. But, I got to tell you, I went out in 1980 and had a great run, finished second. And actually, I thought, wow, this is not that hard. This was pretty good. And then I go to my next race and really get my rear end handed to me. And then I go to the next one and crash or something like that. And you got to remember at that point, we had a stock car that was up in Reading, Pennsylvania, sitting in front of all these Indy cars. And a lot of the guys back then, actually, which I can understand now, thought that was kind of a disruption to the IndyCar team. So here's a kid out of St. Louis wrecking everything and had one lucky break in 80. And Roger was really great to me. He came to me and said, look, kid, he said, you go back and get some more experience. He said, and we'll look at putting you back in the car down the road. I said, okay. And obviously I was disappointed, but went back to short track racing, ended up winning a ton of short track races, got the ASA championship under my belt, but finally got a break to get back in the Cup and drove for Raymond Beadle. Won the championship in 89, and when the team started to go away, I called Roger up. I said, Roger, he used to always send me notes. Walt did, and Roger and a lot of people, and Dan Luganbuehl back then was sending me these kind notes every time I would win. And when the opportunity came about after I won the championship to maybe get back with Roger, Roger didn't really know that. I picked the phone up and said, RP, I said, you told me to go get some more experience. I just won the championship. How's that? And I said, I think we can get Miller Brewing Company to be a sponsor too. What do you think about that? And he said, kid, you got enough experience. Let's get this thing going. And with that, 1991, we kicked it off, and we were back in racing, and that was it. And it was a great time, right to the time I quit driving a car in 05. And I consider everybody up here great friends of mine, but Walt, Roger, Dan Luganbuehl, who isn't here right now, are great friends, and Don Miller, and got this thing started, and I'm all forever grateful. There's no doubt about that.
Should be fun getting you all together tonight. There will be 42 of Team Penske drivers from the past, so that should be special. Joey, heck of a couple of years for you, more wins than anyone this past season, more wins than any driver the last 2 seasons. That being said, how do you continue to strive for more, as I asked Roger, and how do you guarantee that there's not complacency among your team?
Well, I guarantee there's no complacency with this guy sitting here at the end. I think all of us know that or have lived through that at some point. We know we want to win trophies for Roger. We want to get a championship, and anything less than that, as he just said, is we don't consider a success. So, I'm proud of what our team's done over the last 3 years. I've been here at Team Penske, and being able to improve each year. The first year we won 1 race, then we won 5 races, now we won 6 races. We got to keep going. It gets harder as you keep going, but we got to keep going, and that's what keeps us driven. Todd Gordon is a great crew chief. We've been able to work really well together. We keep building up on that relationship, and I think us sticking together and just growing and doing the same things we've been doing, but just getting better at it and just refining it a little bit, and not reinventing the whole wheel, but just refining it a little bit and getting a little better in each and every area to keep the results coming that we've gotten, and to get ultimately the big trophy at the end of the season. You're well aware of the rich history of this team. As you saw that film earlier, what does it mean to you to be a part of that? It's incredible. I look forward to tonight to hearing some of the stories like Rusty just told. There's so many stories that I haven't heard yet, and like I said, I've only been here for 3 seasons now. But one of the coolest things for Christmas, Team Penske they made a book with all the wins. And I got one for Christmas, and with all the big victories over the last 50 years, from the beginning all the way through. And first off, I'm a race fan, from when I was little, and that's so I start looking through it as a race fan. I look at all these cool pictures. I'm like, this is amazing. I couldn't imagine. And then you get to the end, and you see your picture there in the Daytona 500, and you're like, whoa. That's kind of all came together at that one moment. That to think that you're involved with greatness. Across so many different aspects, not only in motorsports, but within business. And the more time I spend with Roger and Walt and be able to learn so much about life has been so rewarding. And I'll cherish that book, and being involved with it in any way I possibly can has been very special for me.
A lot of that book dedicated to you, Rick. And when people talk about your relationship, your fit with Roger and with Team Penske, they cite it as one of the best in the history of motorsports. Not everyone would fit within Team Penske. Why were you such a good fit, though?
Well, thank you. You know, really, I think I was practicing the team concept growing up unknowingly. And my brother and I grew up racing together, and you know, we'd always go home at night and pick each other's brain after an event or whatever, or after practice, and say, hey, what are you doing over here? What are you doing over there? Because we both felt that, you know, if we could raise our level to another level above the other guys, and all we had to do was deal with each other, would be great. That'd be a lot of fun. So that's just the way we always approached it. And I think, and that's basically what you do. You know, you work together as a team. It's tough at times and working with teammates, and you know, but also he's your yardstick, and that keeps you digging. And you know, there's times you can get complacent, like you said a while ago, unknowingly. And when you've got a teammate that has the same thing you have, and he's putting numbers on the board, well, if he beats me with what I have, then I'm not doing my job. So that makes you strive to do a little better all the time. But I think growing up with my brother and practicing that team concept, it was a natural fit when I came on board. And, you know, just fell right into it, really.
To many, you and Rusty are still the faces of IndyCar and NASCAR at Team Penske. Was there ever any discussion or conversation or thought given to swapping rides?
No.
Never brought it up with the boss?
No. You got to remember back then too. That was a little. I couldn't figure out what to do with this big steering wheel in front of me. You know, when I ran the IROC, I ran some short track. You know, growing up around local, and you know, I ran a few years of the IROC series, and I know every year when I go to the IROC races, I go to Jay Signori and say, "Okay, Jay, we got to raise the seat or get a smaller steering wheel so I can see over." And it was just a little different. You got to be a lot more animated in the stock car than you do in the open wheel car. But mainly, the open wheel was just my main interest. And I enjoyed stock cars. I really enjoyed driving them, and I ran a few USAC when they had their program, a few races. But I really enjoyed them, but really open wheel was my main focus.
Ryan, we talked about 3 straight owners' championships for the 22, now a new crew chief in Brian Wilson. How do you begin to foster that relationship and prepare for a change in leadership in a new season?
Well, I think, you know, they said it earlier, is, you know, Tim said it best, is they filter people through Penske so well up through the ladder system. You know, I've been fortunate enough to work with great crew chiefs on the Xfinity side, like Jeremy Bullins, who's my Cup crew chief now, Greg Irwin last year, and to be able to work with Brian Wilson, who has been on Brad's team for a long time, is really good. I think he does a great job, and I'm excited to get some races in that Xfinity car. It's been really, really cool to be a part of those 3 owners championships, to be able to share the car with Brad, Joey, and a couple others, whether it's Tagliani or Allmendinger or Michael McDowell. It's just been a dream come true to be able to be a part of this race team, and to be able to win a couple championships and some races. We're really glad to be here, and I'm forever thankful for the opportunity.
Some special seasons you've been a part of, not just the 50th anniversary for Team Penske, but last year the 65th anniversary of the Wood brothers. Such a young driver, to be part of so much history in 2 years. What does that mean to you?
It means a lot. You know, to be a part of such a big historic milestones the last 2 years has been incredible. To be able to be a part of 2 historic race teams and get to know everybody and hear stories is unbelievable. And I still hear stories from the Wood brothers or the Penske side, and it's really, really neat. I'm a big, you know, historic race fan. I grew up in it. My dad raced ever since I can remember, and I grew up at the racetrack, and that's all I cared about as a kid. So, you know, how can you not be a fan of those 2 teams growing up for how long they've been around the sport and what drivers have been behind the wheel of their race cars, whether it's NASCAR or IndyCar side or whatever. And so you sit back and look at it and get to meet all these drivers tonight at this 50th anniversary party, and it kind of really makes you appreciate where you're at and the opportunities that have been given to you. And it's really, really special to me, being such a big race fan that I am, and my family as well, knowing what they've done to try to get me here. So it's just neat to be a part of such a great race teams, and to have this alliance with the Wood brothers and Penske this year, and being able to do the full-time Cup deal is going to be really special to me, and I'm really looking forward to this year.
We're very excited for the 2016 season and for a special celebration tonight. I'm going to turn it back over to Scott quickly, who has some few last notes. I know you guys still have some breakout interviews to come.
Thank you very much, Dave. Appreciate that. One of my first memories of working on the media tour during my time at Charlotte Motor Speedway, This had to be 14 or 15 years ago, and we actually took an evening trip and went up to Rusty Wallace Incorporated for the Team Penske program. And as our buses pulled up and everybody departed, Mr. Penske was actually at the front door and greeted every media member and every guest that was coming in that night individually and shook their hand and said hello. You've always been a gracious, gracious host, and we appreciate your cooperation and working with us to kick off the season very much. And it's been a lot of fun in more recent years watching both Joey and Brad take home their first Bruton Smith trophies at Charlotte Motor Speedway with the Bank of America 500, winning 2 out of the last 3 years. So that's been good too. A quick reminder, when we get to the breakout sessions, we'd like to start with our print and online media on the left side of the room and our broadcast media, as noted on your credential, on the right side. We're going to take a quick photo opportunity here, and then we'll invite Jeremy and his team to escort our special guests over to the breakout area, and they'll be available for interviews for about 45 minutes. Again, gentlemen, congratulations. Have a great time tonight and the entire season. Gentlemen, you'll just put your mic down. Thank you, sir. And Kurt will kind of get you squared away right here. Let's start out kind of with the dead center there. You gentlemen in red. Okay?
Hey guys, right here.
You guys are coming real close. Try to get a little bit. The logo's behind.
Clean up pretty good, don't you now? Yeah, real good. Big smile. Thanks, guys.
Everybody good? Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you guys so much. Our pleasure. It's good to see you. Good to see you. Great job, Joe.